the continuing barbaric horrors against the children of Palestine, the people of Palestine. And therefore, in the context of holding our own government responsible, we put forward a set of demands which are relevant to holding this government accountable. We are here today to demand that the government of India should cancel all licenses to companies supplying military arms and equipment to Israel and to halt the granting of new licenses. You have heard about these companies. I don't want to go into the details, but I would like to state that, for example, the joint Adani Enbridge joint venture, which has a facility in Hyderabad, is actually being subsidized by our government and its policies as far as access to land is concerned, as far as cheap labor is concerned, because the drones which are being manufactured in this factory are directly exported back to Israel. So, this is an example. The second demand is made in India equipment, drones, explosives are being sent and used in the war, the genocide against Palestine. Along with the export, India also imports military security equipment from Israel. Millions of dollars worth of import. Millions of dollars. I'm not going into what happens to the security equipment. We all know about Pegasus, so I'm not going into that. But this is also during the course of a genocidal war, where arms supplies from Israel to India are continuing. This is also a direct help and assistance to the health of the economy of a genocidal power, which is using that economic assistance to continue this horrific war. The third demand that we make is to stop the export of cheap labor, mainly construction workers, at the request of the Israel government, who have expelled Palestinians, who have denied Palestinians the right of livelihood in Israel, thousands of Palestinians, and who have asked the government of India to replace those Palestinians with Indians, and the government has accepted it. And thousands of workers from beginning with Ahmedabad in Gujarat have been shipped out to Israel. So this is a direct support of the apartheid policies, the ethnic cleansing policies of the Zionist government of Israel. So these are the minimum three demands which we are making. And in short, these three aspects show very clearly the complicity of the government of India in this barbaric, horrific genocide against the people of Palestine. Now, why do we say it's complicit? I mean, we know it is morally repugnant, it is ethically bankrupt, but it is also unlawful, it is illegal. Because we are a party to the protocol of the International Court of Justice. And just for your information, as many of you probably already know, we have an Indian judge sitting there in the 15-member bench of the ICJ. And there are two important rulings. The first in January, which basically held that the Israel occupation of Palestine and its actions in Palestine are unlawful. And the second ruling more recently in July, and I want to quote from that, quote, all states are under an obligation not to render aid or assistance in maintaining the situation arising from the unlawful presence of Israel in the occupied Palestinian territories. Now, this is a ruling of an international court, and also, for your information, India has been on 5 occasions to this ICJ on its own issues. We have appealed to the ICJ 5 times. And here you are, in flagrant violation of an ICJ ruling, which says no state can provide any assistance whatsoever to the unlawful occupation of Palestine. So, you are setting a precedent which is harmful to India's interests. Even if you leave Palestine, even if you leave morality ethics to which this government has not even a long-distance relationship with. Forget that. Even for India's interests, to set a precedent in which you flagrantly violate the ICJ is not in our own interests. And therefore, because of this complicity, as far as arms supplies and trade with Israel is concerned, India has now joined that list of shame headed by the United States of America, many countries of the West, but India, as far as Asia is concerned, after South Korea, which in any case is a military ally of the United States and does its bidding, India now is the one Asian country which is directly involved in military supplies or equipment used for military purposes by the Zionist government in Israel. Now, this is a shameful thing. Forget about leadership of the global South. This is what is happening. Now, the other question I would like to raise is, what is behind this 180-degree turn? But just to reiterate, our stand has been, the government of India's stand has been, free Palestine, end the occupation, borders of 1967 to be recognized, East Jerusalem to be recognized as the capital. This is a basic principle position. Now, we have taken a 180-degree turn. Why? I would just recall what RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat had said in 2014, a few months after Modi ji had taken over government in the center. He said, our nationalism should be on the lines of Israel. What is common between the two? One, nationality to be determined by religion. And two, identifying the other, the enemy, to demonize Islam, to demonize the Muslim community, in the case of Israel, to demonize the Arabs and Muslims. So these are the ideological affinities between the ideology of Hindutva, the RSS, and the BJP, and the Zionist government of Israel. And it is this ideological affinity which has superseded India's traditional foreign policy. We may not be fans and admirers of everything connected with India's, policy in the past, but most definitely it is this ideological driver which is responsible and is responsible today. And I would like to add that the entire ecosystem in India, the entire ecosystem of the Sangh Parivar, its leaders, their presence on social media, projecting the Palestinian struggle for freedom as a religious war against Islamicist jihadists. My dear friends, this is nothing but trying to eliminate the national conscience, a national conscience which should today be on the streets of India protesting against this barbaric horror. But when you have the government, when you have the state projecting a narrative of this as an Islamicist jihad and not as a freedom and liberation struggle against US and Israel, this is what you get. The elimination of our national conscience. And finally, I would like to say, it's a shame for every Indian, for all of us here, that when hundreds and thousands of people across the world are coming out in solidarity with Palestine, are fighting for the freedom of Palestine, India, because of the government of India's policies, is seen in that list of shame as being complicit in one of the worst horrors that the world has witnessed. It is therefore up to us, citizens of India, and our message that India and we, the people of India, have been, are, and will always be on the side of the Palestinian struggle for freedom against illegal occupation. These demands on the government of India, unfortunately, except for a few exceptions, we have not heard this voice as yet in Parliament. I hope that with this detailed memorandum sent to the Secretary of Defense of the Ministry of Defense in India, and also I think to all the members of Parliament, we hope this voice will resound in Parliament. On August the 3rd, there is a call, a worldwide call for protests against Palestine. Here in Delhi also, not against Palestine, against the genocide in Palestine, against the Israeli-led genocide in Palestine. And here in India also, there will be such protests. Here in Delhi, there will be a protest. I hope we can all participate in those protests. So I would just say, free Palestine, end the genocide. Government of India must be held accountable for its simplicity in this barbaric war. Thank you very much.